In today's Leeds news, Kamara Exit, Crew Season's Intent, Jayden Bogle Update and Cree Summerville Latest. Morning folks, Jay here at The View on Monday morning the 15th of July with your Leeds United news. Real quick PSA, I mentioned it in the podcast last week, but if anyone who doesn't watch the podcast is watching this, I'm doing this full time now for a little bit, so if anyone is interested in sponsoring the channel, having your logo over here somewhere for or throughout the videos, you can get in touch with my email address on the back end of the channel. Outside of that, it's a busy week ahead for Leeds United. We are back to football, real football now. The Euros is over. Leeds will play Harrogate Town on Friday, so something to look forward to in that game. And also this week we will see the return of Brendan Aronson and potentially Max Fober and Rasmus Christensen. Get ready for some very heavy Brendan Aronson PR, I would imagine, over the next couple of days, and a few interviews likely popping up around the place in order to ease him back in to Leeds United and ease him back into the fans as well, and we'll see how that one goes. On the exit stuff, there's still more talk of a couple of exits from Leeds United and a few rumoured incoming, so we'll start off with the Glenn Kamara situation, which came out again over the weekend, and on Saturday news came out that Glenn Kamara will be leaving Leeds United. Reports in France suggested that contact had been made between Stade Rennais and Leeds United and an agreement had been reached. According to Fabrizio Romano, then an exclusive from Romano, I'm laughing because we put the story out and so did Joe Wayman and so did everybody else the day before Fabrizio, but Fabrizio was claiming an exclusive that Leeds and Stade Rennais have agreed a €10 million fee for the player, so about £8.5 million. The player himself was absent from the recent training video on Friday, and it said that during that time frame he has spoken to Stade Rennais and also agreed personal terms around a move. From a financial standpoint, Leeds are nearly doubling their investment in Kamara from just under a year ago last summer. And a player had a good season for Leeds United. I like the player. I think he had a very solid season. But Leeds might be looking at a slightly different profile of midfield next season. But from a playing perspective, this Leeds leaves a little bit light in that midfield area again. After adding Joe Rothwell and nearly finishing off that midfield for me, they're now light again in that area. Unless they decide that Ethan Ampadu moving back into midfield means that the sixes next season will be Gruev and Ampadu. And then the other options are Rothwell and Crew. We'll get to Charlie Crew in a minute, but most journalists in and around the Leeds United sphere expect Leeds to replace Glenn Kamara with another player, so we'll keep an eye on that as well. Kamara, as I said, had a very good season for Leeds United, very solid player, very effective player for Leeds last season. Some slight criticisms, I just sideways past him, but I never really bothered me that much. It's the style of play that Leeds were doing at the time, and he was very much part of that style, so no issues from there for me. But if he does move on, it would represent a good bit of financial business from Leeds. Questionable on the footballing front. We'll have to see if Leeds bring in any players to replace Kamara. I'm not, as I said the other day, I'm not panicking on players coming in just yet. This week and next week for me are important. Like to see Leeds get a couple done this week and then a few more next week, and then you're a little bit more settled heading off to that German pre-season tour. But a player that is likely to head to that tour as well and be around Leeds for a little bit longer is Charlie Crew. And again, over the weekend, news came out that Charlie Crew had agreed a 4-year contract at Leeds United just after he turned 18 years of age. On signing the deal, Crew said that it was a special moment for him and his family signing for Leeds. Crew, who joined Leeds United 2 years ago, has got aspirations for next season after becoming a full Welsh international at the back end of last year. Crew said the following: "I think since coming in, I have only gone upwards and only moved forwards. That is down to the coaches that I've worked with and all of the players. I definitely think I have moved forward, and I am looking ahead to this season because I can push on even more." Crew clearly sees himself as more than just a substitute option for Leeds next season, and is clearly positioning himself to be in and amongst the starting players in that team. And if you're good enough, you're old enough, is the saying. So at 18 years of age, could he do something similar to what we saw with Archie Gray? But as I've always said, he's a different player, different profiles. Shouldn't put the same kind of pressure on two players. But he must be a player that Dan Farka likes to have a look at. He's having him around the first team training for the whole time. They've signed him on a 4-year deal, which is similar to what they did with Archie Gray as well. Could be in and amongst the first team next season, but I suppose we'll get more information on that over the next couple of days and weeks if Leeds do go for Glenn Kamara replacement, or if they see Charlie Crew as a replacement there in some capacity. A player that Leeds are looking at trying to bring in, and again over the weekend, it was a busy weekend this weekend, and I wasn't doing anything, but it was a busy weekend. And the one that came out from Mike McGrath at the Telegraph was Leeds making a move for Sheffield United's right back Jayden Bogle. Bogle was said to be out of contract at the end of the season just gone, but Sheffield United activated a 1-year extension in the player's contract to keep him around the place. The Blades Leeds will still need to sell players over the course of this summer, with some financial issues at the club and a potential takeover needed before the season starts, and they are also looking at bringing in some players on higher wages as well, so a levelling of their financial situation would need to happen, unless they decide to go down the Leicester City route and argue that half of last season was in the Premier League. We'll have to wait and see on that, but Jayden Bogle as a sale is a definite option. Leeds were rumoured to have bid about £3.5 million for the player, but according to Alan Nixon at The Sun, that was rejected, and Leeds would need to get closer to the £7 million asking price of Sheffield United. Sheffield United manager Chris Wilder was talking about the situation over the weekend as well, and he wants Jayden Bogle to stay at the club as he sees him as a fantastic player who will be important to their promotion opportunities next season. However, he did also say that every player in the Championship has their price, and if anyone wants him, they would need to pay the asking price for him. If Sheffield United are looking for 7 million and Leeds have bid an initial 3.5, you would imagine logic would suggest that they will meet somewhere in the middle, in around the £5 million mark, and get a deal done. Leeds are said to be considering a second bid for the player, and this could get wrapped up pretty quickly in the next couple of days. Bogle would and should be considered an exciting signing for Leeds as one of the best fullbacks in this division. Bogle had a very good season at a very underwhelming Sheffield United Premier League campaign last season, and was one of their better players in what was a season where Sheffield United essentially stank out the Premier Division for the time that they were there. Bogle even managed to get 3 goals in that, and at 23 years of age represents a player with a ceiling that would help Leeds, if they did get promoted in the Premier League, to move forward with Leeds. I've seen the argument about Bogle or Connor Roberts, and I think there's not a huge amount between them. I like Connor Roberts, but I also think Jayden Bogle is a very, very good fullback. And if you bring him in at 23 years of age, he's got a lot more room to grow, whereas Connor Roberts is a bit older, and you've got less probably growth in that player there. And seeing what happened with Roberts when they went into the Premier Division and Burnley loaned him out straight away, maybe a player like Jayden Bogle represents a more long-term option for Leeds, as well as filling the immediate need that Leeds have for a very, very attack-minded right back. So one to keep an eye on. It could happen very quickly over the next couple of days or hours, could even be boxed off today. You just never know with Leeds, the way they move in silence, and I'm okay with that, but there is still work to do on that deal, and we'll have to keep an eye on it. And then moving on to the final story of the day, and this is the update on the latest situation around Crescencio Somerville. Developments on Somerville are expected by Leeds, with reports that a trio of Premier League clubs are likely to make a move for the player very soon. Newcastle United, Crystal Palace and Aston Villa now appear to be the 3 leading candidates to get Somerville for next season. 3 teams that would represent a step up for Chris Somerville would get him playing in and around the European places with Crystal Palace, or in the Europa League and Champions League with Newcastle and Aston Villa. The Yorkshire Evening Post claim that there is interest from these parties, who are now ready to make a move for the player, with Leeds wanting over £40 million for Somerville. The sale of Archie Gray has been labelled as one of the reasons why Leeds will be able to stick to an asking price for Chris Somerville and not have to drop their intended valuation of the player in order to make a sale. Leeds can sit and wait for a team to meet their valuation of Crescencio Somerville, and if 3 teams do manage to get involved, then that will obviously try to increase the value of the player during that period as well. Chelsea are also still around the outside, but very much keeping an eye on the situation, and may not make a move for the player until somebody else does, which would be very similar to how Chelsea do their business recently. Leeds have said, though, if a high profile player is to leave the club this summer, they would be replacing them with a player of a similar calibre. Leeds are said to have lined up wing options should Nanto or Somerville move on this summer. It is widely expected that Chris Somerville will leave Leeds United this summer. I don't think anyone really thinks that Cree will stay. There's probably a small percentage growing in the back of everyone's head that Cree might stay this year, but it's very unlikely that he will stick around at Leeds United. The player himself isn't pushing for a move, but there is likely to be some serious contenders coming in for his signature very shortly. So we'll keep an eye on that, and we'll keep an eye on what the Yorkshire Evening Post are saying on this. They seem to have an inside scoop on this and seem to think that these 3 clubs are ready to make their move for the player right now. Folks, that's going to be it for me today. Massive thanks as always for watching and supporting the channel. I'll be back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. Anything dramatic happens, I'll pop on later on this evening for a live stream, and you can check out the podcast from last week down below, as well as some shorts floating around the channel as well. You can keep an eye out for them as well. Have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.